Hello, friends. Welcome to the Buddhist Insights channel. I'm Ayasoma, and I'm here with Bhante Sudaso and Bhante Jagaro. And Bhante Sudaso will introduce our special venerable guest that is tuning in from Taiwan.
So this evening, we're delighted to have with us remotely Jiane Fashi, so one of the senior bhikshunis from the Zhongtai Shan lineage in Taiwan, which is the main Chan tradition from Taiwan these days. Which is known for its very thorough training system for monastics. So we're delighted to have with us a knowledgeable and well-practiced practitioner of Chan Buddhism to talk this evening a little bit about Tiantai philosophy, which is one of the major branches of Chinese Buddhist philosophy. So Shifu, whenever you're ready, we'd like to invite you to share some words of Dharma with us.
Thank you, Venerables, for your introduction and invitation. It's my pleasure to be here and to connect the good karmic connection with everyone. Like Bhante has just introduced, I'm from the Chan lineage, or Zen to be more well-known in the West. But actually today we are going to talk about Tiantai. Let's see. Okay, good. I saw the slides. Today we are going to talk about ultimate reality and the 10 Suchnesses in the concept or in the understanding of Tiantai Buddhism. When we talk about Buddhism or when we talk about our own cultivation, we tend to say we have to see things as they are. But in fact, we are just human beings and we are so ordinary. We are not that perfect yet. And we don't have full wisdom. And that's why when we see things, we tend to see things as we are, not as the things themselves. So when we see a picture or see an event or see a person, we tend to create the image or to put into our own thinking and our presumption. And that's why our delusion, we have the three poisons: anger, desire, and ignorance. So this delusion we have misleads us to illusion and to distortion. So we cannot see the whole picture of things that are going on. And instead, we have our own judgment and our own differentiation. But when I say differentiation, of course, we can judge things and we can differentiate things, but we tend to put into our attachment and our thoughts. And most of these thoughts are distorted. And that's why the Buddha tells us that we need to build right views. So I think most of the audience online are familiar with the right views or right understanding of the Eightfold Path. And in Tiantai, when we talk about the right views, is we have to see things from different truth. And we will go into that later. So here today we want to talk about what is the ultimate reality of everything and how do we see the ultimate reality from the 10 Suchnesses. If we can build the right views and to see things from these 10 aspects, then we can see the full picture and see the entirety of things or of sentient beings, of all life experience we have. And if we can increase that kind of right views, we can eradicate our afflictions and sufferings so that we can achieve nirvana. So before we go into what is ultimate reality and the 10 Suchnesses, let me introduce Tiantai a little bit, because today the topic or the talk I'm going to give is to be very strongly connected with Tiantai Buddhism. And Tiantai Buddhism is one of the major Buddhist schools in Chinese tradition. And its founder is Zhi in the 6th century. In the Tiantai major philosophy, we can say the three truths and the three contemplations. These both are very important. The three truths are emptiness, provisional positing, and the middle. When I say the middle, we can understand that as middle way, which is easier for us to comprehend. And the corresponding practice of three truth is three contemplations, because if we see things from these three aspects, emptiness and provisional positing in the middle, that is the reality or the truth of a thing or of everything. But how do we understand the truth? We need to practice contemplation. So by practicing contemplation or by doing this meditation, then we can understand this truth further. So again, so the three truths are these three, and the three contemplations are the contemplation on emptiness, contemplation on provisional positing, and contemplation of the middle. So let's go over a little bit about these three. So when we talk about the emptiness, emptiness might not be, it's the term we use it more often in the Mahayana tradition. Instead of like in Theravada, we tend to emphasize on no self more. So here, when we talk about emptiness, it means empty of something. And what is the something that is lacked or that is empty? That is something that is substantial. So if we see there's something that is everlasting and something that is concrete, something that is substantial, then that is self. And so when we talk about emptiness, it's empty of substantial existence. So that is the meaning of emptiness. And so when we talk about emptiness of everything, then we see there is no apparent differentiation between different things. Like when we are in this live stream, you might have a cell phone or you are on your computer. So when we see cell phone and computer, the appearance of these two are different, but they both are emptiness. So when we see cell phone is in small size and computer is in bigger size, and its element that builds a computer or a cell phone are different, but they both have no substantial existence. That means they both will change, and they do not stay the same all the time. So that is very important for us to understand the emptiness. And when we look at these, the second truth is provisional positing. This provisional positing actually is strongly connected to the truth of emptiness we just talked about. Because when we talk about emptiness, everything is the same, they both can change, and everything is permanent. Everything is not substantial. Everything can change. And so here, when we talk about provisional positing, that means it's temporary. So when we just have the example of computer and a cell phone. So computer and cell phone, they have different names. And we call these names as false names or the provisional designation of these things. And so these are just temporarily. We see computer as temporary. And also the cell phone is temporary. And it's called cell phone, it's because we give it this name. So, and the name is given by us, human beings. But the cell phone, is it really called cell phone? And in English, it can be called cell phone. And in Chinese, it's 手机. So in different language, it has different names. So these names create the difference between different things. And these are just temporary. These are just provisional. So in the case of the so-called provisional, that means it's not true. But we also see this provisional positing as truth because it is useful, it is conventional. So in the conventional sense, if we say, okay, would you please pass me the cell phone? Then you will give me the cell phone. You will not pass the computer or a handbag or a desk to me. So then there is a good way for us to communicate. And that's why we also call this provisional positing as a truth, because it has its value in our daily life and it's good for us to communicate. But we also see from this provisioning positing, we see the differences between different things. Like I said, a computer differs from a cell phone, from a desk, from a hat. So they are different. So it's easier for us to communicate and to use in our life. And the middle is when we talk about the middle, in general, we are more familiar with the middle way between, like we see Siddhartha's story. Siddhartha, he led a luxurious life before he became a monk. And after he started his practice, he started to practice asceticism. But later, Siddhartha figured out he should not be attached to the previous luxurious life or to the asceticism. So he found his middle way, and that is at the point he was awakened. So here, the middle is to avoid the two extreme. And it's not, on the one hand, it avoids the two extreme, but in Tiantai, it also emphasizes even if we are in one of the extreme, it can be the perfect stage. It can be the middle state. And that's why it's called the perfect middle. What does that mean here? If you look at the slide, it's 3C, it's identity. Identity here, I just say that if we look at the middle way, is to avoid two extremes. We try to find a balance between two extremes, and we find no opposites between these two. That is the Tiantai view. For Tiantai is that if you live a luxurious life, as long as your mind is pure, as long as you see the reality of everything, as long as you are not abide in the provisional positing, and you are not abide in the aspect of emptiness, and you can find the identity between these two, then you are really in the true understanding of the middle. So either you lead a very you lead a very good life, or you practice asceticism. You can be in the middle way, because no matter what kind of practice you are in, your mind is pure and you can see the reality. And that's why here I put a dharma is as it is, precisely. Because when you practice, if you practice hunger and your mind is not full of desire. Oh, I'm practicing hunger and I want to eat chocolate, I want to eat that, and I want to eat a lot. You don't have that kind of desire of food at all, and your mind is so pure, and your mind is in concentration and in wisdom. So in that sense, then you are practicing the middle way. So as long as you have no attachment, either kind of practice is a perfect practice. And so when we talk about the middle, or the middle way, is that we see the equality, or we see everything is equal. We do not have attachment to one thing, and to have the so-called detachment or non-attachment to the other things, because we don't try to judge which is better, which is worse. For us, as long as we are mindful, then everything has its value, and we can fulfill the values of our life experience. And this is about Tiantai. We just talked about the Tiantai philosophy of the three truths. It's the emptiness, provisional positing, and the middle. Excuse me. And so here we can talk about the Tiantai's major practice. The primary text Tiantai use is the Lotus Sutra. Lotus Sutra is a Mahayana sutra, and it's very popular in the Mahayana tradition. The method, I should say, the main concept of the Lotus Sutra is one Buddha vehicle. The one Buddha vehicle means that the Buddhahood is the highest. The Buddhahood is the ultimate state we should attain. So not the arhatship to be attained, but the Buddha. So for us, for the Buddha's teaching in the Lotus Sutra, the Buddha said that everyone can be a Buddha. So if everyone can be a Buddha and everyone will attain Buddhahood, that means that all are equal. So this concept of all are equal in having the potential to attain Buddhahood also has a strong connection to the middle of the three truths we just talked about. And also in this sutra, it emphasized that every dharma is itself ultimate reality. So this also goes back to earlier I talked about everything. We should see things as they are, but we tend not to see things as they are, but as we are, as who we are, as what we want, as what we expect. So it's all guided by our own view. That's why we goes to the distortion. But here, the Lotus Sutra tells us that everything is ultimate reality, and we have to calm our mind and try to see its ultimate reality. But what is ultimate reality? Ultimate reality in the Lotus Sutra doesn't mean that one thing. It doesn't mean one reality. Actually, we can see it is 10, and that is the 10 Suchnesses. And so when I say 10, it doesn't mean only 10. From 1, it can go to 10. And from the 10, we can also expand it to all. So when we see a thing, we can see its emptiness. That's one way. We can further see its provisional positing is the second way. And then we can further see its middle way. Then that is 3 aspects. But these 3 actually, they are strongly connected into one, and so it can be called ultimate reality. So let me put it in a different way. If we see the ultimate reality of one dharma, then we can see its 3 truths that are embedded in this dharma. And to expand it, we can see the 10 Suchnesses, or the 10 aspects, the 10 characteristics of this certain dharma. And of course, we can expand it more, then we can see all aspects of this Dharma. So we see the full story of this Dharma, not just one side of the story. And let's go to the Lotus Sutra. Here is a passage of the sutra. It goes like this. Only among Buddhas can the ultimate reality of all things be fathomed. This is because every existing Dharma has such appearance, such nature, such substance, such powers, such actions, such causes, such conditions, such effects, such rewards or retribution, and such a complete fundamental coherence from the beginning to the end. And I don't know if any in the audience reads Chinese. Let me read it a little bit. 唯佛与佛，乃能就近诸法实相。所谓诸法，如是相，如是性，如是体，如是力，如是作，如是因，如是缘，如是果，如是报，如是本末究竟等。So here we see the 10 Suchnesses from the Lotus Sutra. And this passage actually is a translation from the Chinese text, the Lotus Sutra in Chinese text, and is translated by Kumarajibai in the 4th century. And then also later we translate it into English. And so here we can see it says that only Buddhas can see the ultimate reality of everything. And only Buddha can see its completeness. Only Buddha can really see the profundity of everything. And because we know the Buddha has the perfect wisdom, so Buddha has this wisdom, that's why he can see everything clearly. And we are so ordinary, that's why we cannot see everything clearly. And not only that, we might have attachment to things, and that's why we cannot see the full picture of things. And so here the Buddha said that, it says that here we can see only among Buddhas. So Buddha is not a single person. In Theravada, we tend to say there are 7 Buddhas in the past, and the current Buddha we know is Shakyamuni Buddha, and in the future we will have Maitreya Buddha. But in Mahayana Buddhism is that we have tons of Buddhas in this world and in other worlds. And many Buddhas in the past and in the future. And like I said, in the Lotus Sutra, it says that everyone will become Buddhas, and everyone has the potential to become a Buddha. And that's why we have so many Buddhas. And so here in this passage, it clearly tells us that Buddhas can understand and Buddhas can comprehend the ultimate of all things. So here I put it as all things. So this so-called thing can include insentient and also sentient things, that like human beings, animals, insects, or heavenly beings, or arhats, and also insentient stuff like a pen or glasses or a desk or a toy. So these sentient and insentients, they all have the true reality, and it just depends on how much we can see it and how much we can see through our illusion and delusion. And what are the 10? These 10 are appearance, nature, substance, powers, actions, causes, conditions, effects, rewards, or retributions, and also a complete fundamental coherence from the beginning to the end. Here we can see the 10 suchness. It's called such or suchnesses. It is because We have to see things as they are. Then that is such. So the other translation of suchnesses is thus is. So we can see different translation of this term. And so here it says a complete fundamental coherence from the beginning to the end. Beginning refers to the first suchness, that is such appearance. And the end is the ninth, that it refers to such rewards or retributions. The difference between reward and retribution is a reward refers to the positive or the more pleasant aspect, and retribution refers to the negative or unpleasant result we have. Also it could be refers to the future response. We will go into the more a little bit later. So here we just look at the 10 suchnesses, and let's go back to look at the ultimate reality. The term ultimate reality, actually, we just say sutra. The Lotus Sutra is translated by Kumarajiva. And for the ultimate reality is Chinese is 实相. And actually it goes to its Sanskrit term, that is dharmata or dhammasvabhava. So when these two terms appear in the text, Kumarajiva translates dharmata and dhammasvabhava into 实相. So 实 in Chinese means real or true, and 相 means mark. And so we can say dhammasvabhava or dharmata is translated into real mark by Kumarajiva. But when we put it as real mark, it kind of like might mislead us to see things as substantial or to see its concrete mark. But actually, it's not that. So we tend to translate the term 实相 in Chinese into ultimate reality. So when we look at the term dharmata, Dharma, we know everything could be a Dharma. No matter it's tangible or non-tangible, it could be called a Dharma, like a voice, a sound, a piece of chocolate, or a piece of paper, or an eraser, or a piece of glass. These things can be called Dharma. And dharmata, we can translate that into ness. So if we have a chair and we see the chairness, that is chair-ta in that sense. So for computer, we say computerness. So there's computer-ta. So ta can be translated into ness. And here, dharma svabhava, I use this term my point is to point out that we should not mislead the svabhava of every dharma as something substantial. Because when we talk about svabhava, we tend to say, oh, svabhava can be translated into self. But in Buddhism, we emphasize no self. This is a very key concept in all traditions. So nothing really stands on its own. Everything are connected, and nothing has a substantial, everlasting, and changing essence. This is very important. So when we see the term Dharma Svabhava in the context of Mahayana Buddhism, we also have to keep in mind that this does not suggest that everything has self. Instead, in Mahayana Buddhism also emphasize that nothing has concrete essence or a concrete substance. And that go back to we talk about the one of the three truths, that is emptiness. So everything it's empty, and everything is a provisional positing, and everything itself is the truth. Everything is the middle way. And so here, when we look at the term ultimate reality, we also have to understand that can refer to the true essence of dharmas. And again, when we use the term essence, don't get it wrong and say, okay, the essence means a concrete svabhava. No, that's not the meaning here. And also the true marks, also, these we have to understand these are the limitation of language we have. So when we see a term or when we use a term, it might have its own limitation. And once we can really understand its limitation and to have we know how to clarify it, then it should be fine. Because in the three truths we just mentioned, for the conventional aspect, these terms or these language, it's useful for us to communicate, for us to express ourselves. So that's why when we use a term, we need to see its limitation and to see how many values it can create, and so that we can communicate well and to avoid or at least to lessen misunderstanding among different people when we are having a conversation. So now I want to go a little bit further to explain what are the 10 Suchnesses. So here again, let me repeat it. These 10 Suchnesses are such appearance, such nature, such substance, such powers, such actions, such causes, such conditions, such effects, such rewards and retributions, such a complete fundamental coherence from the first to the ninth, or we can put it different way as the totality of the 9 characteristics. So that is from the beginning to the end. These are the 10 Suchnesses. And these 10 Suchnesses, they indicate 10 attributes or 10 characteristics of the ultimate reality of everything. And these 10 Suchnesses also for Tiantai are the best representative of all possible characteristics of the different dharmas. And they can include and they can express and they can reveal, they can tell us what are the ultimate reality of all entities, of everything. And let me give you an example of a male weightlifter. We use this example to help us to understand the meaning of the 10 suchnesses. And the first one, such appearance. When we look at a weightlifter, generally we can see he looks very healthy and strong and has solid muscle, and look that so strong we will never try to beat that weightlifter. And so that is the appearance of this guy. And so the appearance of this weightlifter is tangible and is so clear to us. But how about his inner world? We cannot see his inner world. So the nature refers to everything that is invisible, that is inside his mind. Or like, for example, this weightlifter, he has great ambition and he has strong love for this exercise, and he has great discipline to practice and to train himself. And when he is doing the exercise, he has strong perseverance. So these are inside his mind, that is his spirit, but we cannot really see it. So, and also, if we can look at this lifter from different aspects, is we can see his human nature. As a human, he might have happiness or worries or desire or hatred or stress or sadness or dissatisfaction, anything. So he can have different emotion in his mind, but we cannot really see that clearly from his outlook. So appearance apparently is tangible and is clear to us if we look at that. And so, but nature is not that visible. And the third, substance. Then substance, the other way to put it is a little bit like material, how this thing is composed of. Like for a person, we see a person is composed of 5 skandhas or 5 aggregates. So we can see the 5 aggregates as the substance of this lifter. And so here we can break it down into the body part and the mind part. The body is composed of organs, muscles, his bones, his tendons, his blood, his skin, his cells. Of course, in Buddhism, we tend to put it as the 4 great elements, earth, fire, water, and wind. That is the 4th main part of the body. And for the mind, we all know that that's 4 aggregates. So the feeling, perception, volition, and consciousness. And so no matter its body or the mind, they both are no self. So here we come into the key concept in Buddhism again. Everything is no self. So although the term here, I use it as substance. So although it says it's such substance, still it has no svabhava. And that's why we have to emphasize it's no self. And so none of these person's physical body or his mental element has an underlying independent or unchanging substance. So like we mentioned before, everything are strongly connected. Everything is conditional and nothing stays the same all the time. And that is no self or emptiness. And if we put this way in the Mahayana sense. And the 4th suchness is powers. So this man, he has great explosive and functional strength, and he can lift up a barbell that might weigh more than 300 pounds. That's quite a lot. And also that is his power. So he has strong power and strength. And this suchness also explains his potential or capability. Potential means that he can do that, but only when he really succeeds, then we see his power comes into comes into reality. Otherwise, we can only see he has such potential of great powers to lift up these heavy barbell. And so we goes to the 5th suchness, that is actions. So the 4th is just potential, and the 5th is it can be put into reality. So this suchness refers to a course of action that really happened, that actually happens. And so it's a real activity, something really happens. So when this man successfully lifts up a barbell in a game, and then the audience witness the entire thing he has done, and they are happy for him, and they see he has succeeded. So this is the actualization of his capability. So that is the difference between the 4th and the 5th. Then let's go to the 6th, that is cause. So here, the previous 5, we see different aspects of this person. And starting from these 6, we see cause and conditions and effect and also future rewards. So this is the causality we will come into. So that's why, so here it tells us that when we see a thing, see an event, when we see any dharma, we can see this dharma, or we try to comprehend this dharma from different aspects. And now we go to the causality of seeing this certain dharma. And so the 6th suchness is causes. So for this weightlifter, he definitely has strong passion for his exercise. He has strong love for this game, so that he wants to put so many efforts and so much time to this training. So he has strong commitment to his own training, and he has strong discipline to regulate himself and to manage his own practice and his life. So these are the major causes for his victory or for his participant in the game. And the 7th is such conditions. So these we can break it down into internal condition and external conditions. The internal conditions is, for example, if on the big day of his competition, and this man, he's in good health, and he is in good spirit, and he's so confident, and he has a strong passion for his exercise and for this game, and he keeps hopeful for the result, and he knows, I'm confident I'm going to win. So this is internal conditions. So this internal condition is not that obvious to us, although we can tell from his appearance and from his look, or tell a little bit from his facial expressions, but still these conditions are not that clear to everyone. And the external conditions, these are clearly shown to us. So we can see the audience cheer for him, and we can see his family and his friends and his coach, and or even his fans. They give him strong support and give him a lot of encouragement, and they stand strongly by his side. So these are the external conditions. And we see if these internal and conditions, if all these conditions are very good for him, and very likely he will succeed. And if not, on the other hand, on the contrary, if he's sick and today he feels sad because he heard a very sad news about his family, or he has fluctuating moods, or he has something happens and he has lost his faith in himself, or someone says something very bad to him, or he heard others criticize him or mention about the not so good past of him. So his mind is influenced by others, and that's why he does not have a very high spirit, and he lose confidence. Then in that sense, this bad condition will contribute to a unpleasant result, and that is something he don't want. That is the defeat he doesn't really want, but that comes to reality. So we talk about the causes and the conditions. In causality, we know that if we have a main cause or different causes and plus different conditions, that will lead to effect. So here, such effects we can see with, again, you use this example. So if he has good preparation for this competition, and also these helpful conditions put together on the day of his competition, then he can successfully lift up the heavy barbell. And if he win a victory, and he can even maybe break his own record. So that is something so exciting. But on the contrary, if something doesn't go so well, then he can have an opposite result. So that's the effect. And so a pleasant or encouraging effect will lead to a pleasant reward, but an unpleasant effect leads to retribution. So like we said before, reward is pleasant and retribution is unpleasant. So in this guy, he has won himself a victory in the game. And then that is in the game, he can won the first, for example, if he won the first place, then he win like in an Olympic game, in an Olympic game, he can win a gold medal, and also he can gain very good retribution. He can gain very good reputation. So now he has win himself a very good fame. That is the reward. That is something exciting. That's something he really want. So the suchness is also we can see such rewards from the other aspect. That is also refers to how he responds to the effect he has, how he responds to the result, and that refers to the eighth suchness. So this, we can put it as a karmic response. So it refers how he responds to the result of his practice or the result of his game. So when he wins, he's so happy, he has smile on his face. But when he in the case that he loses the game, he will react with strong disappointment, and you won't see a smile on his face. And he might even cry, or he might shout, or he might complain, and he might point the finger to others or to himself, blame himself, and he's so disappointed. So everyone can see and feel the despondence he has. So that it will be that is the aspect of retribution. So again, the ninth suchness is rewards or retribution. It depends on the response of this person. And the 10th is a complete fundamental coherence. So from the beginning to the end, the weightlifter is just a weightlifter as he is. So if we see a weightlifter, we see him as a weightlifter. We respect him as a lifter, but we don't try to put much stress on him to put too much expectation on him, and we try not to judge him. So if we can avoid these different judgment or unnecessary expectation, we will not create further stress on him, and so that he can be himself and just be who he is and be the person who love the game, who enjoy the game, and who can perform in a more normal way without these stress or expectation or criticism of him. And so here we can see from the 10th suchness, we also can see because of his hard work and his discipline, his perseverance, we can predict that he would succeed. And also because of his succeed, we know that we can tell he must has undergone a lot of serious training and strong discipline, and he endured all these different hardships that we cannot imagine. So from his success, we can see the first to the ninth Suchnesses. These 9 are included in his in the result, so that they are all strongly connected to each other. So if we look at point C here, it says that all of the 9 aspects contributing to his success are provisional, are empty in nature, and are in the middle. So his success is temporary, is provisional. So he can win this game, doesn't guarantee that he will win again and again in the future. That's one thing. And also, this name as a gold medal winner, it's just a name, so it's called provisional. And this is the name we give him. We offer this great athlete. And everything will change. Everything does not stay the same, and that's why it's empty in nature. And this person, this athlete, from the beginning to the end, he is always he is, and no more than who him, no more than who he is, and that's why this is called the middle. And also, the moment he can succeed, the moment he win a victory, that is a full embodiment of the 10 Suchnesses. And that's why we say it's an entirety. We see the entirety or the full embodiment of the 10 Suchnesses. These 10, they are strongly connected from 1 to 2 to 3 to the 10. Every aspect of these 10, they are strongly connected to each other. And so here we can use the other example to look at our own Buddhist practice. Like when we do meditation, we can see the appearance of our this event or this activity of doing meditation. So a meditator can sit, definitely usually sits with legs crossed and with hands in a mudra, and sits still and sits in a very unmoved. The body is still and upright and unmoved. So that is visible. That is appearance of this meditator. But what is the nature of this meditator? That is his Buddha nature or his awareness. So when we do meditation, our mind is focused and we are aware in the state of our meditation. But this aspect of nature is invisible to others. So even when we are sitting here and we have a lot of thoughts going on, and we are doing daydreaming, that is our internal experience. That's our internal state. Others cannot see it, and that's why it's called nature. And the substance, also again, it refers to the 5 aggregates. But when we are doing meditation, we hope we have pure 5 aggregates. So our body is unmoved, but it's so relaxed, and there's no tense at all. And that's why we are in the state of being at peace. And our mind is focused. We do not have wandering thoughts, and our mind is so clear, and we are so peaceful. And for the 4th Suchness, we can see powers. So again, we talk about powers, it's a potential. So what kind of potential we might have when we do meditation? That's we can have the powers of concentration, and we can have the power of wisdom. So that is the potential we might create after these meditation session, or a month in the midst of this meditation session. And for the action or activity is the meditating, this course of action itself. So what kind of action we can have is we can do insight meditation or we can do calm meditation. So these are the two ways for us to practice meditation. One is vipassana, the other is shamatha. So this I won't go to too much detail to this because I think a lot of you are familiar with these two methods. And starting from the 6 to the rest are about the causality. So again, what kind of cause, what urged me to do the meditation is because I have aspiration for liberation. I don't want illusion, I don't want delusion, I want to remove all these different afflictions I have. So I don't want to have suffering in this samsara world. And that's why I have passion. I have this aspiration for liberation. So that is the main cause of my sitting meditation. And not only having this aspiration, I also put time and efforts. I have discipline to my own regular meditation or daily meditation. I'm sincere and faithful to my own practice. So that is the main cause. And what are the conditions? The conditions is I have a quiet place for me to do sitting meditation and no one will bother me. Just like you, if you go to the monastery and you can have a group meditation together. So the monastery is a very good condition, very helpful condition for us to calm our mind and to see the inner world within. So, and also we might have support of our family and we appreciate their support. For example, during the weekend, you go to the monastery to do sitting meditation with the others together, and your family members, although they do not believe in Buddhism or they have their own interest, but still they support you to do your beloved meditation. So we appreciate that, and that is a good condition for us. And the other thing is that because we have done Buddhism and we appreciate the Buddha's pass on the teaching to us, the Buddha has left the great teaching to us. And also we have these venerables in the monastery. They are our spiritual guides, these spiritual teachers. They offer their time and effort, their wisdom and their compassion, their loving kindness to us. So we have these good conditions for us to do the meditation. And with all these good conditions and the right causes we have put into the sitting meditation, we can have good result. And that effect is we can have a good session of meditation. And during the meditation session, our mind is cleared and our afflictions, they are gone. So we can clarify, we can cleanse our mind and we can remove our klesha. And the ninth is the rewards or retribution related to the effects. If I have sit a good session of meditation, then I can build further confidence of sitting meditation. And I can increase the interest in sitting meditation. And so in the future, if I can do the meditation more often and put more effort to that and in the right track, then I can fulfill the two kinds of powers we just mentioned. One is concentration, the other is wisdom. So if I can have these two, then I will have a good future rebirth, even as a human being again or in the heaven. Or eventually I can become an arhat. I can be out of samsara. I can achieve full liberation. And in Mahayana Buddhism is that in the future, one day I will become a Buddha. But the opposite is that if I don't have a good session and I feel more frustrated when I do meditation, or I don't have a correct understanding of doing the meditation and the method I adopt is not so suitable for me, then I will create obstacles for myself. So the retribution is that I might be scared of doing meditation again, or I refuse to do meditation, or I feel more frustrated. So that it would be the retribution of the opposite. And the 10th is a complete fundamental coherence. So from the beginning to the end, the meditator himself or herself is just a meditator. So the person is the person and no more, period. So we don't want to have any projection on that person. So the meditator is the meditator. So when I'm doing sitting meditation, I am who I am. So I'm here, I'm mindful, I'm peaceful. I am trying to put me in a strong connection with the Buddha world, with the true Dharma, with the three truths we talk about, and with the ultimate reality. Everything is a reality. Everything itself, everything per se, it's a reality. So here again, for the 10th, we can see the other 9 aspects strongly related to our meditation experience. And again, this meditation activity itself embodies the three truths. And also the moment when we are doing meditation, and the moment we can experience some taste of mindfulness or some taste of awakening, then that is the full picture of our entire activity, the entire activity of doing the meditation. So from the beginning, when I sit down and I have folded my legs, I cross my legs, and to the moment I am doing the contemplation, either shamatha or vipassana, and to the end of the meditation session. Every moment, every bit moment of the meditation experience, it itself is the ultimate reality. Every moment itself embodies the three truths. Because when I'm doing the sitting meditation, my mind is connected with emptiness. And the image of me doing this meditation is just provisional. But my mind is so focused. My mind is so clear. And that sense of concentration itself is so perfect. So it's the middle way. I don't have attachment to sleep. I don't have attachment to thinking of any food I like. So I'm here. I'm right now at the moment. So each moment of my sitting meditation is the entirety of the ultimate reality. So here again, this is the case, the example we can use and to understand the 10 Suchnesses. And of course, we can think about other examples, like now we are doing an online Dharma lecture. So we can think about what are the appearance and the nature and or the substance or the power and the actions or the cause and effect, and also different conditions and its different rewards and its entirety of the 10 suchnesses. We can think about that. And also when we have to do our house chores, or when you go to work at your office, or if you have strong attachment to certain food you like, or if you are troubled by some emotions, or by something happened to you yesterday, or you have a thought in your mind that really bothers you. So we can pick up any life experience we have and then use these 10 aspects to help us to understand what is going on here. And so if we can use these 10 suchnesses as a way of contemplate, then as a way of contemplation, then we can see the truth. We can see the ultimate reality of these object we want to comprehend. When I say object, everything can be an object of our contemplation. So like why here I say a Dharma lecture, or I don't like certain noise, or your kids are yelling, or something, and someone say unpleasant comments and on you, and you feel sad and you are upset, or you just have a strong argument with your friends, then you can use that as an object and to comprehend its 10 aspects. For example, if you just have a strong argument with your best friend, then you try to kind of like analyze, to ponder on the appearance of your argument. So when you are having strong argument with your friend, definitely you both do not look lovely or pleasant. You don't have smiles on your face, and your face might turn red, and you might raise your hands, and you kind of like want to not just oral argument, you might also want to beat the other party. So that is the appearance we can see. And how about the nature? So what is in your mind, or when you are having argument, your mind is not clear, and you have strong emotion in both of you. So we can see the appearance and your inner world. What is your mind state? Your mind state is not wholesome. And so when we see that, then we can reflect on ourselves and try to amend the wrongdoing we have. Why do I want to fall into a strong argument with my friend? And why do I try to argue and to try to put so hard as like, oh, to prove so hard as I am correct and you are wrong, and you don't want to listen to me, or my feelings are hurt by your comments. So when we are having these arguments, we are upset. Definitely, we are not mindful. So once we have an argument, then we can use these 10 suchness to help us to see things clearly, instead of just to be blinded by our own illusion or delusion. So, and I think this is your own exercise. You can use any example as an object of your own contemplation, and try to use these 10 suchnesses to see our life experience. So if we can adopt these 10 and apply them, these 10 suchnesses to our life, then we can try to avoid seeing only one side of the story, like just one side of the argument we have with our friends. Then we will push back a little bit, and when we stand back, retreat ourselves a little bit, then we can see like a full picture of what's going on here, instead of just be attached to one side of the story and try to prove that you are right and the other party is wrong. So if we can use the 10 Suchnesses, then we can help to comprehend the different meanings or to find more values of our life experiences. So we will not just stick with one side of the story, and we can appreciate different aspects of our life experiences. And also, if we can see the 10 Suchnesses, then we see the reality, and we see the ultimate reality. That means we enhance our wisdom, and we can free ourselves from delusion and illusion. And also, we can practice more sincerely and faithfully to see things as they are, not to see things as we are. Okay. I think that's it for today for my talk. I don't know how we can do the Q&A session. I don't know how to go to that.
Well, thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
So at this time, we'll do a short chant of appreciation, and then we'll move to the questions. Namayang Dhammakataya Sadukarang Nanamase
Sadhu, 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 anumodami.
And for all those who are watching online, if you want to type in questions for our venerable teacher, you can type in questions. Also, the people here at the monastery are welcome to ask questions. And actually, I have a question to start with. Fasha, when you were talking about the middle, actually the first thing that I thought of was the Kachanagota Sutta, in which the Buddha talks about two extremes of wrong view. So the wrong view that things exist and the wrong view that things don't exist. And then he says, instead, the Tathagata teaches the Dharma by the middle. So Majjena Dhammang Deseti, he teaches the Dharma by the middle. And then he goes on to list the 12 steps of Paticca Samuppada, dependent origination. So I'm wondering how that concept of teaching Dhamma by the middle, how that relates to the Tiantai concept of the middle.
Thank you. Thank you, Bante. That's a perfect question. And actually, that also related to the Tiantai concept as well, definitely. Because when we talk about the middle, is the middle of the two opposites. So the two opposites, the example I use is a luxurious life and ascetics practice. So it also can be the middle of two opposite views. So like you say, a right view and a false view. Of course, in Buddhism, we want to have a right view. But if we have attachment to the right view, that right view becomes a false view. It's because of our attachment. So in Tiantai, is that the middle is we don't try to create differences between the right and the false. If we do, then that is not non-duality. So when we talk about the middle, it also refers to non-duality. So non-duality means that we do not dwell in one side. I don't know if that answers your question. So when we talk about right view and wrong view, right? And the sutta you mentioned, I don't know that the equivalent in Chinese. Do you know that equivalent in Chinese?
I don't, but I could find it later on and send it to you later on.
Okay. Yeah. So the middle is, again, it's try to avoid leaning to one side. So that is called the middle. But Tiantai goes further, is that just like if we have a scales, so we have the balance. So you can be one side or the other side, right? When we are doing that. So that is not balance. But the middle way tend to find a balance. And for Tiantai is that if you are on side A or side B, even it goes like this. Still, if your mind is clear and you have true freedom of doing anything. So then that is also a middle. It doesn't mean that you have to stand at the center. You know what I mean? So when we say the middle, doesn't mean that I find a balance between these two, or I stand in the middle. That's called the middle. Here, it could be the middle. And here, side A could be the middle, side B could also be the middle as well.
Okay.
Just like if you are driving on a highway and there are three lanes, you can drive on the right lane, in the left lane, or in the center. So either lane you are driving because you have clear views and you are on the right track. So each of the three lanes could be the middle way because you have freedom. So once you have the full liberation of freedom, you can choose one or two or B, or you can one or two or three, or you can switch freedomly, without any obstruction. So that is your middle way.
Okay, thank you. Okay. And other questions?
Venerable, I actually have a very basic question, if possible. So I understand how there could, in other worlds be different Buddhas. But I was wondering if you could explain a little bit more what is the Mahayana interpretation of multiple Buddhas in this world. So you mentioned aside from Shakyamuni Buddha. So if you could clarify that, that would be very helpful. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. So in Mahayana Buddhism is that we have many different Buddhas. So here, like in this world, we know there are Shakyamuni Buddhas, and also like Medicine Buddha and Amitabha Buddha. Amitabha Buddha is in the Pure Land. He is not in this world. But in our world, we also know him. So he's kind of in our world as well. So currently, because we know that in one world, there's only one Buddha. But in Mahayana sense is that no, it could be more than one. We can have more than one great teacher, not just Shakyamuni Buddha himself. So the example I gave is like Medicine Buddha is also a Buddha. And also in the Flower Garland Sutra, I don't know if you have heard of this sutra.
Avatamsaka Sutra.
Yes.
Avatamsaka Sutras. That includes tons of the Buddha's name. So these are the Buddhas we know. And in Mahayana Buddhism is that we have this world, a Saha world, and there are also different pure lands. So there are different Buddhas. But we might not familiar with all of the different Buddhas. And also the other aspect of seeing Buddhas is that because we have Buddha nature, so this Buddha nature, everyone has the same Buddha nature. And that's why in some sense, we are a Buddha as well. So we are a Buddha in potential. Yeah. So that relates to one of the 10 Suchnesses is such power. We can have the potential, we can have the power to become a Buddha. So currently we have Buddha nature, that's why we can be considered as a Buddha. But we are not really, we are not an actual Buddha yet because we still have affliction. Yeah, so in reality, we are just an ordinary being. But in the truth, in the ultimate sense, we are a Buddha already. So in Mahayana Buddhism, we tend to say, oh, you are a Buddha, he is a Buddha, they are Buddhas, and I see so many Buddhas in front of me, and everyone is a Buddha, so we are all equal. So that is the sense of Buddha nature. So if we see things in this perspective, then we will try to respect others. So in the Lotus Sutra, actually, there's a figure. His name is Never Disparaging Bodhisattva. So this Never Disparaging Bodhisattva, he see everyone as a Buddha. So he will say, oh, you are a Buddha, I respect you. And then he make a bow to the person. So no matter this person is a monk or a nun or a lay person, so he show his full respect to them. And he like to shout so loudly and say, I know you are a Buddha. I know you will become a Buddha. I respect you. I respect your Buddhahood. Yeah.
Thank you, Venerable. And just one follow-up question. So what would be, if there is any difference between Shakyamuni Buddha and the medicine Buddha? So I understand the concept of Buddha nature and the concept that we all have that potential. But when it comes to conventional reality, is there any difference between a medicine Buddha and Shakyamuni Buddha? And is there a concept of a Sammasambuddha also? And so how would that fit in?
That's an excellent question. So you mentioned the provisional positing. So their vows are different. That will be their differences. And their condition, I should say, their karmic connection with sentient beings are different. So they have different vows and they have different connections with different sentient beings. So the appearance or the causes, the conditions are all different. So that's their provisional positing. But they have the same attachment because they have the same attainment. They are all in the same Buddhahood. So these Buddhahood are equal. Yeah. But the differences are their views and their connections with the sentient beings, and also the methods they use to liberate others could be different.
Thank you very much. That clarifies very well. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Venerable, on the point of multiple Buddhas, previously I had thought that each Buddha is described as having a home world, so to speak, and so that they can influence people in other worlds, but they still have their own home base, their own world, which is theirs in specific. So like Amitabha has the Western Pure Land and so on. So I thought Medicine Buddha also had his own home world or home base, which was somewhere other than this one. Is that correct, or did I misunderstand something?
100% correct.
Okay.
Yes, Amitabha Buddha is in the Western Pure Land, and Medicine Buddha is in the Eastern Pure Land.
Okay, understood.
So, although our world is called a samsara world, so in this saha world, we think it's impure. But in the Mahayana sense, that in the Buddha's eyes, this saha world actually is the Buddha's pure land. It's we ordinary beings don't see it as pure. We see it as impure, impermanent, because we have so many sufferings. How can we see it pure and so lovely? No. But for Buddha, because that we mentioned about the middle way, the Buddha's mind is in the middle way. So even though he is in the Saha world, he is still in the pure land. So he has the full liberation and freedom. And that's why he sees everything as purity. Everything is pure. Yeah. But still he has to see from, although he sees everything pure, he still has to try to understand and to see the impurity and the suffering sentient beings experience, so that he can put himself in their shoes and try to help them to be out of samsara.
Understood. And it looks like we had a question from one of the residents here at the monastery. Please go ahead and speak loudly.
I'm starting to see people like aging, like it's really recognizable now, and I have trouble like understanding that. Like for example, like my siblings, like my how they were like, years ago, like, my mom, myself, and even like those around me, and especially like I feel like at like work, there's like people are just like stressed out, and, like their wrinkles are just so clear. And just like, I feel like spending so much time like at the monastery, it's obviously like everyone has like bright faces and like less wrinkles, and I'm just like, wow. So like actually have been experiencing suffering, understanding aging and changes. Yeah, and like I even tell my mom, like I tell her like, oh, you're aging. And then she's oh my god, I tell her like please stop aging. But like, like I know I'm like I have to understand.
Is there a question there, or is that just a reflection?
Yeah, I mean, I guess my question was like, how can I what can help me understand the process of aging?
Okay. And Venerable, did you hear her question?
No, I'm sorry, it's not clear.
Okay, so she was saying how she's been observing the process of aging, especially in her mother and her siblings and herself, and how this is causing some distress for her. And so she was asking for you to offer some reflections or contemplations or something that will help her come to a more peaceful understanding of aging. Is that correct?
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's good. And aging is, we can see the change of your skin and your facial expression, everything, and also even your strength is different, right? So that's aging, and your health is changed. So we have to see the provisional positing of this aspect, the provisional positing of aging. I don't know if she can understand that. That means that when you are a little baby, you are so choppy, you have like soft skin, and you are so adorable. And when you become a woman, you are so beautiful, and now you are aging. So you see the different appearance of yourself. So that is one of the 10 Suchnesses. And you have to see each stage of you is just a state of change. If we can see that is provisional, then you know this is just a false name of you being a choppy baby, or be a beautiful woman, or be an elderly person. So these are just provisional. And if we can see our Buddha nature, the Buddha nature is never changing. The middle way, the concept of middle way is our mind, and that's our full mindfulness. That's our full awareness. If we can understand that, then we see the true mind never changes. What is changing, what is aging is our skin. That's our health. That's our body. But our mind is never changing. And the mind is the Buddha's mind. So we have the same Buddha mind, but we don't really perceive it that clearly yet. So if you can see the non-aging part of yourself, which is your true mind, you won't be so scared by aging. Because we are aging actually from the moment we were born, right? We are not aging because we are 40 or 80. We are aging from the moment we were born. So our physical condition is changing at every moment, but our true mind does not change. And this true mind is the full confidence we have to build to understand our Buddha nature. And that is our true mind. True mind never ages.
Thank you, Venerable. And we're just about out of time. So I think we can go ahead and conclude this session at this time. So once again, thank you very much to Jiane Fashi for joining us and sharing some Dharma teachings this evening. And we can show respect to the teacher with 3 more sadhus.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu, namaste to everyone.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Venerable.
Thank you.